Well, joining us now is House Foreign Affairs Committee member, Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry. All right, Congressman, I think this is one of the concerns that people have. There have been reports about these cells that Iran could potentially activate. We know that they are the leading state sponsor of terrorism and have been for decades. Is this threat real, and what can be done to combat it, if so?
Well, I think we need to assume it's real. I was just asked by a hometown reporter if I thought that, our community was safe from attack from Iran. And I don't think Iran, the country, has any means to attack the United States of America militarily. However, we do know that tens of millions of people came across our border illegally from all kinds of countries around the world, including Iran. And again, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. So it's safe to assume that some of those people that came here from Iran have ill intent. We don't know where they are. We don't know what their intentions are. We don't know what their capabilities are. Just think about this, Dagan and Guy. We marveled at the Mossad's ability to be inside Iran to help target the strikes that they made and influence that operation in one of the most restrictive countries on the planet. Yet no one is really saying, other than Donald Trump and, of course, Americans that are concerned, no one, certainly on the Democrat side, was saying anything about these people from all these foreign hostile countries walking around the United States of America unfettered. We don't know what they might intend. So we can't fully judge that. Now, I do know that law enforcement and our investigative services are already looking at that. And of course, the proof is in the fact that ICE is already picking these people up. But let's face it, we don't really know how many of them are here, where they are, or what their intentions are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and remember the 9/11 hijackers, they actually entered the United States legally. And that was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
And
the 9/11 report after the fact told us that we can't have an open border because of specifically this. Unfortunately, Barack Obama and Joe Biden just chose to ignore the law and allow these people to come into the country, no vetting, no follow-up, court dates years after the fact. And again, we don't know where they are, what their intentions are. And it's going to be difficult to find them, especially, and Dagan and Guy, that doesn't even count the gotaways, right? We're talking about the ones that we know.
Right.
But the gotaways are the individuals that avoided going through Customs and Border Protection. So it's likely that they avoided the law for a good reason, because they are here for nefarious, criminal, and potentially violent activities.
all 19 9/11 hijackers entered legally, including some on student visas. Congressman, you're also on the House Oversight Committee, which met with Joe Biden's former director of domestic policy, Neera Tanden, behind closed doors to find out more about old Joe's decline over the course of his entire presidency, which we all witnessed. Here's what Tanden had to say about it.
I just spoke with the House Oversight Committee, Majority and Minority Counsel. I answered every question, was pleased to discuss my public service, and it was a thorough process, and I'm glad I answered every question.
Was there an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Absolutely not.
Was it public service or Biden service, Congressman? What did you find out that you can tell us?
Well, we're not sure yet, and quite honestly, let's face it, it's going to be difficult to get candid and likely truthful answers. These folks know that we're looking at them in the context of, did Joe Biden actually have any clue about what the auto pen was signing, or were they doing it on his behalf? And, everybody's going to hunker down. Everybody's going to be tight-lipped about that. And so it's going to be hard to determine. I mean, Joe has already said that, he knew all of this stuff. But we know that he signed Hunter's pardon, but with his with his own hand. Mm-hmm. But the other ones were auto pens. So we don't know if he really knows all these people. And quite honestly, even when they were standing right in front of him, I'm not saying this to be mean, but he couldn't even identify his own Secretary of Defense on occasion, or people that he had appointed to these very high-level positions. It's sad, but it's reality. And what I think this is going to show, whether it's admitted or not, or whether it's provable or not, the people that were actually in charge of the country for the last 4 years, because many of my bosses, many of my constituents would come up to me. They probably came up to you guys as well and said, who's actually running the country? Well, I think those are the people that you're going to see paraded in front of the Oversight Committee attorneys over the next weeks and days here. Who are going to be deposed on this.
And they don't want to admit it.
That's who's in charge of the country.
Of course they don't want to admit it. They were in on the whole thing. Congressman Scott Perry, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.